Hello everybody and welcome to the final race of the weekend for the Golf Radical Cup. We had 2 sprint races yesterday. Today we have the 45-minute Enduro, which will feature 1 mandatory pit stop that all drivers must do and sit stationary for 45 seconds. But those in the top 5 from last time on the Aspen Marina circuit, well, they'll be stationary for additional time. But there's a man who's just pulled up here to the right-hand side, the very young Harry Hanneman. It's been a fantastic race weekend for him so far. 2 pole positions yesterday, 2 wins, 1 pole position today, but can he convert it into a 3rd victory? Harry, this weekend has gone very smooth for you so far. 2 pole positions, 2 race victories, another pole position today. Are you going to convert this one into a win as well?
Yes, looking strong, but again, we can't get ahead of ourselves, can't overthink things, and yeah, just keep the momentum. We've got the momentum with us, and just bring it into this race now.
Well, we were talking before about the advantage that you have. You don't have to serve any extra time in the pit lane. You just have to be sat for 45 seconds. And that, of course, gives you an advantage, but is there a different strategy at play here for this race?
Yeah, of course, it's a helping hand. It's one less thing to worry about, but again, we keep our focus and take 1 lap at a time.
Thank you so much for talking to us. Harry Hanneman, our pole sitter. Can he make it the perfect weekend here and walk away with 3 trophies from the top step of the podium? A big shout out to the man that sat over here in the 96, Vasily Vatikin. A great qualifying effort. But who I want to go have a chat with real quick is Sivan Youssef. I'd like to talk to Vasily though, but a man of very few words, does a lot of his talking on the track. Then we got Perry Deramas, our winner in the national class yesterday. But this man right here has returned to the championship. Shibin, it's great to have you back here. The team are pushing the car forward. What's it like being racing here again in the Golf Radical Cup?
It's always good to come back here. So, Radical is one of it's a very nice championship to be back on. It's a good competition now at the moment. Let's see how it goes, but we're going to give it everything.
And it's a great qualifying run from you, a new team entering the championship here this weekend. But, of course, you know this very well. But what are your thoughts now? How are you going to be on the top step of the podium in the national class?
Well, the goal is to be on P1, but of course I'm going to push for it. But let's see how it goes on a long run, because I'm on an old car as well, RS6. I'm the only one with the old RS6 now, so let's see. It's going to give a good competition, but I'm going to give it everything on it. So,
well, from what we've seen so far this weekend, thank you so much for talking to us. Very quick on his return to the championship. Let's go have a quick chat if we can get Perry real quick. We don't actually get to talk to Perry very often. He's getting cold air blown in his face, having a quick last-minute chat here with the team. So maybe we shouldn't interrupt him just yet, because it's very crucial to get everything right now, right? This is where it all starts. We have the formation lap, then we're racing for 45 minutes here in our endurance race. It is the longest race of the weekend. Now, let's just focus our attention. If we can get the cameraman to turn around real quick, there is something going on with Vasily's car. They're taking off the rear engine cover. So I wonder if the team have found an issue on the car here. Now, that is not good news there for the man that sits in second. They have a very limited window now to get everything sorted out. And, of course, the clerk of the course and the officials are going to come and have a look as well what's happening here to Vasily Vatikin's car. I don't want to interrupt the team just now because, of course, 1 minute to go, 60 seconds. They need to find the problem now. And we, unfortunately, have to get off the grid. But I'll leave you with pictures of Vasily Vatikin's car. Hopefully for him, he will start from second position. But we'll head upstairs to the commentary box, and we'll see you in a few moments' time. So we are here at the formation lap for the endurance race here for the Golf Radical Cup. Harry Hannum should start alongside Vasily Vatikin, but just at the back of your pictures there, you can see that number 96 from Continental Racing being pushed behind the barrier, and that's not what he wanted at all. Perry Deramas lined up on row number 2 with Simon Yousaf, who we had a chat with just before we got off the grid. Great to see him here, and a fantastic qualifying effort early this morning. Amir Faison on row number 3 with Andy Lowe alongside the company for Golf Sport Racing. A good qualifying effort as well for Andy Lowe. But here is where things get a bit interesting. Alexander Novichkov in 7th with Alex Mukunchov, 2 former champions in the series in their respective categories, on the 4th row of the grid. What can they do from there? We'll have to wait and see. Alexander Klebanov for Continental Racing alongside Alexander Tchava for Dream Racing share the 5th row of the grid, making it 4 Alexes in close proximity, with Johnny Kazuma for KAA Motorsport in 11th and number 5, with Sergey in the 44 for Golf Sport Racing in 12th position on his first ever endurance race here with us at the Golf Radical Cup. Yaad Khanin for Dream Racing shares the 7th row of the grid with the 87 from Golf Sport Racing, and then at the tail end of the field, Alan Alfonsi in 15th position for Golf Sport Racing. Now, with Vasily's car being put in behind the wall, that means there is a gap for Harry Hannum. He doesn't have to worry too much about what's going to happen on his left-hand side going down towards turn 1. But of course, with Perry and Sibin being behind him, he does have to be careful. Now, that sounds like good news. That sounds like Vasily's car refiring down in the pit lane, and fingers crossed that is the case, and we'll see him at the end of the pits, but he'll have to wait for the entire field to pass him when the green lights come on the gantry, and he's going to be at a real disadvantage here, much like he was in the first race yesterday where he started from the pit lane. But the team have done a great job to find the issue and figure it out before the race has even begun, so he'd only have to be at the tail end of the field. So the number 96 is going to be one to watch out for. So it's Harry Hannum all by his lonesome on the front row of the grid. Simon Yousaf and Perry Deramas will share the 2nd row of the grid, and Simon has to kind of relax a little bit here. I know he really wants to be in that 2nd place position, but he has to drop back behind Harry Hannum and line up alongside Perry. Then, of course, we have Andy Lowe and Amir Faison. Great qualifying from those two here. And then it's row 4 where the biggest surprise for qualifying came, where we have Alexander Novichkov and Alex Mukunchov sharing that 4th row of the grid. So we'll have to keep a very close eye on that 63 and that number 8 and watch them carve their way through the field. So 45 minutes of racing here for our endurance race, and it has 1 mandatory pit stop that must be done by all of the teams here. There are no co-drivers, there are no second drivers either, so no one will be doing a driver change during the pit stop. They will sit stationary for 45 seconds, but a handful of them will be sat stationary for additional time as well, and we'll get to that once we've gone through sector 2 here for the first time during our enduro race here for the Golf Radical Cup. The lights are out and we are racing here for the last time this weekend. It's a great start from Harry Hannum, and it's a great start from Yousaf as well. He's shutting the door immediately on the 69 of Perry Deramas, but Alexander Novichkov is trying to go around the outside as well, but make that the inside line down towards turn 1. We're going to try and go 3 wide, and that's Amir Faison, who's been collected by, is that Alexander Klebanov, who accidentally got on the rear bumper of Amir. The good thing is that he spun and continued on, so no yellow flag or safety car to be deployed. Perry Deramas has got involved in that as well, because he's dropped down the order. And actually, was that Perry Deramas that was tapped into a spin, not Amir Faison. Johnny Kazuma's had a great start as well, already up inside the top 7. And I think we might have a replay of this. Let's take a look and see what happened here. So we're trying to go 3 wide. It's a tap on the inside for what looks to be, yes, it indeed actually is the 69 of Perry Deramas that was tapped into a spin. And it's just, the door was closing more and more, and there are just too many cars trying to find the same piece of tarmac going through the first corner. So not very good there for our the podium finisher on the top step of the podium in the national class from yesterday. Novichkov has had a great start, so has Alex Mukunchov as well, already 3rd, and Novichkov is fighting for 4th with Andy Lowe. So Hannum leads here at the Autodrome here for the endurance race, a 45-minute showdown here, followed by Simon Yousaf, who the leader in the national class is, and then we have former champion Alex Mukunchov, started on the 4th row of the grid, is now in 3rd position. Great start from him, and a great start from Novichkov as well. Andy Lowe in 5th position, and he wants that position back as well. He wants to take that away from Novichkov. He wants to go back into 4th so he can get closer to his class rival, the man that's currently sat in 2nd position. Now, race start is under investigation. Was somebody out of position? Did someone jump the start there? Maybe went a bit too early before the lights went out. We'll have to wait and see what that message pops back up with. But Novichkov and Bukanchtov, a great start from the 4th row of the grid as we're about to complete the first lap of racing here. And now that should give us a bit of breathing room now to talk about that extra time that they have to serve in the pit lane as well. So car 63, Alex Bukanchtov, will have to sit stationary for 45 seconds. And on top of that, he has to sit 20 seconds extra because of his win in the endurance race from the Yas Marina circuit in round 1. Car 21, who's not with us here this weekend, that's Usman Makal, no doubt watching from home and really relishing the fact that he's missing out big time here. He should have been sat stationary for 45 seconds plus 15, and then we have car number 8 has 45 plus 10 as Andy Lowe tries to push Novichkov out wide, and this is some fantastic racing. Here comes Amir Faison, and he's going to capitalise the most. He says, thank you very much, Andy, I'm going to take that away from you, and goes now up into 5th position. But Andy Lowe's going to fight it all the way back through the next corner, and we're going to attempt to go 3 wide, and Amir is staying with him as much as he can, but backs out there at the very last moment. You don't want contact this early in the race. You certainly can lose it in the opening stages of a race here in the Gulf Radical Cup. Great start as well from Johnny Kazoum all the way up into 7th. Alan Alfonsi, a fantastic start from him as well from the tail end of the field. He's already up into 8th place in that 33. A fantastic start there from the Frenchman. So incident between cars number 6, 9 and 11 are under investigation. That'll be after the race has concluded. And as we start to settle into a groove here, although that battle for 5th is still raging on here, or be it for 4th, with Novichkov, Lowe and Faison all battling for 4th overall here. 2 of these drivers are in the national class. That is Andy Lowe and Amir Faison. That, of course, is the battle for 2nd in class at the moment. Novichkov is the overall, so he is in a different category. But, of course, the national class drivers can also compete in the overall, and that means Sibin Yousaf will be on the 2nd step of the podium if the race were to end now. But the good thing is we have 41 minutes left on the clock here for our first endurance race of the weekend, and our only endurance race of the weekend as well. A 45-minute showdown featuring 1 mandatory pit stop, and that battle is still raging on for 4th position. Novichkov, Lowe and Faison all battling out hard here for 4th overall here at the Dubai Autodrome for the 3rd and final race weekend of the day. Andy Lowe tries to pick up the toe from Novichkov, while Faison tries to go the other direction away from these two, just waiting for those two to do something here so he can capitalise the most through turn 1. Andy Lowe not close enough to make the move, takes the wider line to see if he can get the cut back through the next corner, and he's edging closer, trying to go side by side through sector 1 once again, and they're doing it. Here we go. We're going to try again for Andy Lowe. He's got the inside line for this corner, but muscles Novichkov out wide. And, well, that could have all gone wrong, but of course these two are professionals. They know exactly what they're doing, but Novichkov is not going to be happy about that at all as he loses yet another position now to Amir Faison. Of course, going offline like that, he's picked up some marbles, he picked up some dirt from the outside that's going to really unsettle the car now as well. So Novichkov loses 2 positions. Andy Lowe goes into 4th position, and more importantly 2nd in the national class as well, ahead of Amir Faison for the time being. And Novichkov's going to battle it out with them as well again. But here comes Perry Deramas, who's tapped into a spin in the early stages of lap number 1, and he's going to fight hard now to get through because he wants to get back on the podium and he wants to challenge his rivals. Sibin Yousaf a bit further up the road, but of course the number 69 of Perry doesn't have to worry too much about that pit stop as well, because he's only going to be sat for 45 seconds. So now that it's calmed down ever so slightly, and I say that, I think things are going to pick up. The other 3 cars are car number 8, Alexander Novichkov, who has to be sat stationary for 45 seconds plus an additional 10 seconds for finishing 3rd overall. Car 20 will be sat for 45 plus 5. But I don't think we don't have car number 20 here this weekend. And then car 76 will have to be stationary for an additional time as well, and that car also not on the entry list here. So only 2 cars in the field will have to sit stationary for additional time here at Dubai Autodrome. As Amir Faison almost clips the side there of Alexander Novichkov. And I saw these two talking before about Amir's new car, and I don't think that conversation's going to go the same way when they get out at the end of this race here, because that was mighty close, with Novichkov having to take avoiding action before being punted off wide yet again here at the Autodrome in our endurance race for the Gulf Radical Cup. Looking at Andy Lowe at the moment, second in the national class, ahead of Amir Faisalin. But Faisalin wants to be one step higher here, preferably 2 steps higher, but he needs to get past Andy Lowe and he needs to get past Simeon Yousaf as well if he wants to be on that top step as well. So gap up front, 3.3 seconds between Harry Hannum and Simeon Yousaf. Then we look back to Alex Bukunchtov. He's 4.9 seconds back from the race leader, but 1.5 seconds adrift from the number 13 at the moment. And what's happened to Johnny Kazum? He's fallen back all the way to 15th here. He was much higher up the order. Has he been also tapped into a spin or pushed out wide? It's very unfortunate there for the man who finished on the top step of the podium in class, and Vasily Vanikin climbing his way up the order as well after starting from pit lane. Now, is that a move for position with, is that in the background there? That's the number 11 of Alexander Klebanov, getting past Alan Alfonsi. And now the next target behind Alan Alfonsi comes the number 7 here of Yahid Kardim, and of course his teammate Vasily Vanikin as well. Apologies, they're not in the same team because Vasily Vanikin is racing for Continental Racing, although he has Dream Racing colours on the car as well. Not to be confused too much there, but a great start as well from Vasily. Starting from the pit lane, it should have been on the front row of the grid. We'd have a very different front end of the field if that was the case, but unfortunately something just not quite right there with the engine on the just before the formation lap begun, and that means that Vasily was pushed behind the wall, but the team have done a fantastic job at Continental Racing to find the problem and get it sorted out before the green lights went out, allowing him to start at the tail end of the field and not be a lap or 2 down. That keeps him nice and competitive here in the field. So he's tucked in behind Yahid Kardim at the moment. That is the battle for 9th position on track here as Hannum across the line, completing 4 laps around the Autodrome here. 4.6 seconds is the gap between Hannum and Yousaf, and then it's a further 6.1 seconds back from the race lead is Alex Bukunchtov. 1.4 seconds is the gap between Bukunchtov and Yousaf. Now, the cars that are under investigation, 69 and 5 at turn 12 is under investigation, and that would explain what happened to Johnny Kazum as Vasily Vanikin looks for a move on the inside of turn 1 on Yahid Kardim, but not close enough to make a move, and Yahid shuts the door on the very experienced endurance racer in the likes of Vasily Vanikin. Races GT cars in GT3 and GT4 guises will be off into the Middle East Trophy next month in Malaysia, racing with at least one man, and that is on the track with us here, Alex Bukunchtov. So race start, no further action to be taken for the race start, so everybody had a nice clean start. No one was out of position, nobody jumped the start, nobody was trying to get ahead of somebody when they shouldn't have been, as Vasily Vanikin still trying to find a way past Yahid Kardim, picking up the toe here on the back straight and trying to find a way through as Andy Lowe in control of this battle here between 3 cars. It's Lowe, it's Faisalin, and behind them is not Novichkov, he's a little bit further back as Daramas, who was on the top step of the podium yesterday in our second race. Now give him a real boost of confidence here in the national class. Currently sat in 3rd, but would like to be a little bit higher. Actually, better yet, he's 4th in class, isn't he? Because Yousaf is the leader in this category, sat in 2nd position ahead of a former champion in the Gulf Radical Cup in the 63, who sits 3rd overall, as Perry tries to close on Amir Faisalin here into the bowl. Gets nice and close, but not close enough as Faisalin shuts the door on him through the bowl complex. Now up next is Andy Lowe, which these two need to start getting closer to, otherwise if they keep battling like this, Andy's going to have a bit of breathing room here, and that's going to allow him to escape up the road, but Amir closes in on turn 16 here as they make their way across the line astern. Now these 3 are separated by how much at the line? Less than 9/10 of a second, make that now less than 7/10 of a second, separating this battle here for the 2nd step of the podium in the national class. Trying to go as wide as possible is Andy Lowe to shut the door to Amir Faisalin, and it looked like Perry was trying to follow fellow countrymen through there, as Perry a little bit loose there through the exit of turn 2. Now there's a car coming into pit lane. Is that Alexander Novichkov? It is. It's the number 8. Novichkov is coming in, so further drama here. Not all went right in qualifying for him at all, but into the pit lane has come our national class champion from last season. Now that is something I did not expect at all here. Novichkov in, and the thing is, this pit stop will not count towards his mandatory pit stop because the pit window is not officially open. It's only when the pit window is open can they come in and do their mandatory 45-second stationary. So for Novichkov, he will have to come in once again if the car gets back out there, but that is heartbreaking there for the national class defending champion. Back with this battle now with Andy Lowe, who leads this battle for second in class, the national class that is, ahead of Amir Faisalin and ahead of Perry Daramas, who currently sits in fourth in class but sniffs the opportunity to be second. Thought about looking at the inside there through the hairpin at turn 11 on Amir Faisalin, but not close enough to make a move. And this again allows Andy to kind of breathe a little bit easy here, focus on what's happening on ahead of him, although Bukanstov's quite a ways up the road from him at the moment. And there is Vasily Vatikin. He's got past both Klebanov and Kardim, but both of them staying in close proximity to him as well. So next up for Vasily Vatikin will be that battle for second in the national class. Vasily not a part of that class with all of the experience that he has racing around the globe. So he's in the overall category alongside Harry Hannum, Alex Bukanstov and Alexander Novichkov. And of our 4 overalls, only 3 remain here. But remember, national class drivers can be on the podium as well. And at the moment, we have 1 national class driver on the podium. He has visited the podium this weekend. Now, which of the 2 drivers receives a penalty? Number 69, Perry Daramas, receives a penalty for an incident there with Johnny Kazoum, which explains why he is at the tail end of the field and not up to speed as well is Johnny, because he's shown us behind Alexander Novichkov. He will come through and move past him, but is a good 45.2 seconds off of the pace so far. So over half a lap, well, as you know, under half a lap actually, is the gap between Harry Hannum and Johnny Kazoum. So not all is right there with that number 5. And he's not going to be happy about that at all. A very strong performance this weekend from the Lebanese driver, especially yesterday's opening race where he was on the top step of the podium in class, and that really gave him that boost that he really needed after the results that he got at the first round of the championship. It really helped him and the team push just a little bit harder. Now another incident involving the 69 is under investigation, and that's at turn 11, at turn 1, but involves the number 11, and I think that was Perry Daramas being tapped into a spin through the first corner. So he shouldn't receive a penalty for this one, as he looks on the inside of Amir Faisalin. A job done so far, but has Amir Faisalin fought back before the bowl, as we're looking at Vasily Vatikin, who's fast approaching that battle there as well. So let's go and have a look at what Perry and Amir are up to. Has Amir retaken that position from him? They are going to go side by side into the entry point of the bowl complex. Now that's not exactly how you want to do that corner there at all, but they're going to continue side by side. Great racing and a little bit of contact there between the 2 of them as they come together, but they keep it relatively clean. Not too much of a dent or a scratch there, but there's definitely going to be some tyre rub as Amir continues his battle through turn 16, and he takes advantage. But Andy Lowe benefits the most out of this 3-way battle, because now he has breathing room with these 2 attacking one another. Amir has to defend, Perry has to attack, and that is slowing the 2 down and allowing Andy to breathe a little bit more easily, as Perry's going to try go around the long way around the outside through turn 1. Can he do it? Is Amir going to shut the door? And he has the inside line through the next corner, but Amir has enough of a gap to sort of shut that door on Perry, working their way through the first sector here. So Bukanstov, running in 3rd position at the moment, has yet to catch Simon Yousaf there. He did say that he has a bit of a disadvantage having an older spec vehicle on track, but I think that's just him playing with the rest of the field here, because he's certainly up to speed. He hasn't been in the championship for quite some time. So right in appears, there's a bit of contact once again between Perry. Now, is that going to be looked at by the stewards? 100%. And was that just Perry showing a little bit of his frustration with what was happening on track here? Because here it is again through turn 14. Just maybe Amir's a bit too close for Perry here to believe, as they work their way into the exit there. There's a tiny bit of contact working their way through turn 15. but that will definitely be under investigation as well from the stewards. You shouldn't be tapping one-on-one like that at all, tapping them into a spin. I know that a bumper run is a thing, but really not the ideal situation to do here during an endurance race. Well, the moment is fast approaching. The pit window will be opening soon, and of course how it works in the Golf Radical Cup, before the drivers can come in, yes, some of them have in-car communication with their race engineers or driver coaches. They can be informed about it, but however, because the majority of the field don't have in-car comms, they have to wait to see that the pit window is open, and that will be displayed on the starting gantry by the new digital signboard that we have here at the Dubai Autodrome. So it should be in a few moments time, it should be around actually just less than 20 seconds, we will see the pit window open. During that time, every car, every driver, every team must come into the pit lane and sit stationary for 45 seconds. Now, what has happened to the 44? Because they have dropped back now behind Johnny Kazoom. The 44 now sits 14th overall. And was I 60 seconds too early calling the pit window open? No, it did open exactly at 28 minutes to go on the clock. So now the pit window is open, but that means the field that have just gone through at a slight disadvantage, because now they have to wait one additional lap to come into the pit lane. And remember, 45 seconds stationary, only 2 drivers have to be in the pit lane for additional time. One being the number 63 of Alex McCunstop, who currently sits in 3rd overall. He has to sit stationary for 20 seconds extra than anybody else, so 1 minute and 5 seconds stationary. And then it's Alexander Novichkov, the only other car that has to be stationary for a extra period of time. However, Novichkov has not come out of the pit lane. I'm not sure why on our timing screen it shows a different name for the number 8, but that's definitely Novichkov behind that car. Now, yellow flag at turn 6 and turn 7, so somebody has gone off. We didn't quite see who exactly went off, and I wonder now who will be the first car to come into the pit lane. Will it be the race leaders? Well, they'll have to wait to come across the line first to see that the pit window is open before they can come in, or will it be one of the first at the tail end of the field that saw it open? Will they dive in quickly, get their 45 seconds over and done with, and go to the end of the race here at Dubai Autodrome? This is the final race of the weekend, a 45-minute enduro to cap things off here, and for Harry Hannum, it looks to be a perfect race weekend so far. 3 pole positions from 3 races, 2 wins so far. He looks like he's on track for a 3rd victory today, and it'll be a perfect weekend from a perfect sweep as well. Maximum points walking away into the next race weekend that will take place here in the middle of December, and that will be the Super Free for the Golf Radical Cup. So no one diving into the pit lane just yet, but of course all these cars have not seen that the pit window is open, so they'll have to wait for the next time round to come by. So there you can see pit window open. The board on the right hand side, the yellow one, and you can see some teams there already sticking out the traditional boards there to signify to the drivers to come in. It's very simple. It would just have the number of the car and it would just say the word in, and that means they come into the pit lane to do their mandatory pit stop of 45 seconds. Now, I have to note that coming into the pit lane and exiting the pit lane does not count towards that time. They have to sit stationary for exactly 45 seconds. Any quicker than that and they will incur a penalty. We did see this happen as well in the previous race meeting. Anytime over 45 seconds, not a problem. But if you have that extra time to serve in the pit lane as well, you have to ensure that that is added to the 45 seconds. And we have our first car in the pit lane. Who is it? It is Johnny Kazoom, who comes in from 13th overall. In the number 5 is into the pit lane, our first driver to come in the pit lane as well. We've had a bit of movement as well. Alan Alfonsi and Alexander Tachava have both made their way past Yahid Khanim to move themselves into the final 2 point scoring positions. So Johnny Kazoom comes to a complete stop. The team will check the pressures on each of the tyres here. Johnny will just tell them, just briefly, very short sentences: I need this, do that. Not having a long conversation to ensure that they're not sat stationary for too long. And you can see the team there hard at work there. Just a few things that the team will just go over really quickly, maybe something that they can do a bit different for the next half of the race here. Do we have more cars that are entering? Not yet. Johnny Kazoom is the only car to come in, and that means the 44 is still out circulating at the moment. But what about the leaders? What about those who have extra time to serve in the pit lane? The countdown begins. You see the driver engineer there counting down his hand, and off he goes. He's released after 45 seconds. Now, the thing is, is the teams are counting down 45, but our marshals are also counting down 45 seconds here as well to ensure that the teams are doing it accurately. So now across the line has come Harry Hannum. That puts Johnny Kazuma lap down, but he'll get that back, and now we have more drivers coming into the pit lane. Who will it be? Will it be Simon Yousaf? It will be the number 13 into the pit lane for the first time, and he's followed by Andy Lowe. So our top two in the national class have come into the pit lane. Both of them will sit stationary for 4 seconds. There is Simon Yousaf, and there is Andy Lowe, and now pit lane is going to get very, very busy. So another car coming in. Alexander Klebanov is coming in as well in the number 11. Alan Alfonsi decides to stay up, but that's Alexander Tchava that's gone through. So is Alfonsi coming in? Yes, he is. Into the pit lane comes Alan Alfonsi, and Yahed Kardam are coming in as well. Johnny Kazuma's gone out. So Harry Hannum, Alex Bukanchtov, Perry Deramas, Amir Faison, Vasily Vatikin all stay out, as has Alexander Tchava and Sergey in the 44. The pit window is open, and it's not open for the rest of the duration of the race. It actually closes, and during that time, all teams and drivers must come in and sit stationary for 45 seconds. You see, they're the teams telling the drivers, take it easy, take your foot off the clutch and the brake, keep it steady, take a short break here, don't worry too much, we will release you exactly when you need to be released, as Simon Yousaf is off. And that was mighty close there with Andy Lowe as well. The two are going to go neck and neck down towards pit exit. They crest over the hill, and Simon Yousaf has got out ahead of Andy Lowe. But this is now the battle for not the second position in class. This will be the battle for the top step of the podium in the national class. Great pit stop there, and great strategy from Andy Lowe, but may have been a little bit too quick. We'll have to wait and see and find out if something does happen there to Andy Lowe and the team. Hopefully not, because it'll be a great thing. And who's that that's gone off in sector 1? Was that, no, it's not Yahed Kardam, because he's going in the pit lane. That may have been Alexander Tchava. I don't think so, because that did not look like Alexander's car at all. Who was that running wide through that corner? Possibly the 44 ran wide. Now more cars are coming in. Alex Bukanchtov stays out. Race leader is in. Harry Hannum is in for his 45 seconds. Alex Bukanchtov is going to wait a little bit longer here, try and come in as late as possible here, try and get as much time on Harry Hannum as he can. Simon Yousaf there ahead of Andy Lowe. There is the man who's won 2 races here today, 3 pole positions, this weekend, and into the pit lane, our race leader coming into the pit lane. He'll hand the reins over to Alex Bukanchtov, as Deramas is in, Faison is in, and Vladikin as well is in. So that means Bukanchtov, Tchava are the last 2 cars to come in, and there is Vasily Vladikin speeding into his pit box. Hopefully not at full speed, at pit lane speed as well. I think as well, the only other car that we haven't seen come in is the 44. So Tchava, Vladikin, Faison and Deramas, Bukanchtov still out, but Hannum, those are the cars that are currently in the pit lane, and the countdown begins. 3, 2, 1, and Hannum will be released back onto the track after stat stationary for 45 seconds, and it'll feel like an absolute eternity there for the young British driver. But it certainly started this season off very, very strong, with strong performances here in Dubai and at the Yas Marina circuit as well. So back on track goes Harry Hannum. Now, is that Bukanchtov that's gone back through? No, Bukanchtov should be coming to the pit lane. No, he's decided to stay out by the looks of it, but let's see who's coming in now. The 44 comes into the pit lane for his first pit stop in the Golf Radical Cup. Now, incidents between cars 4 and 8 under investigation. We did see that in the early stage of the race, and is that the reason why Novichkov has yet to come back out onto the track? Pit window is still open for Alex Bukanchtov to come in. Tchava is in as well, so only 1 car left to come into the pit lane, and unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see Novichkov back out on track either, as he sat in the pit lane for quite some time here. Just under 20 minutes remaining on the clock here in our final race of the weekend for the Golf Radical Cup. It's been a very exciting opening stage here, with battles taking place all over the place, especially with Andy Lowe and Amir Faison and Perry Deramas also getting mixed in there. Andy Lowe will receive a 5-second penalty for forcing another driver off track, and we said that was under investigation by the stewards, and you can see that Novichkov was forced out wide. But here comes Perry Deramas on the inside of Andy Lowe. both of these drivers here have penalties, and Andy Lowe's going to fight right back in the next corner as we follow Sivan Youssef, the race leader in the national class. But Perry Deramas now temporarily takes second. Andy Lowe will be third, but with those 2 penalties to be applied to both those cars, they will actually swap positions. Now, with that said, where is the other class car in the national class? Well, it's showing that Perry Deramas is the leader in that class at the moment, but he's currently sat in second position here at the moment. But Andy Lowe is going to fight back. There is the race leader, the new race leader, Alex Buchanstov, and a former champion, Sean Simpson's on the right-hand side, checking the pressures on that Dream Racing number 63. And he, of course, will be sat stationary for an extremely long time. 45 seconds plus 20. 1 minute and 5 seconds. It's going to feel like an absolute eternity. You can also see James Winslow there, giving him the command of when he should get going. And, of course, those two will be racing together next month in Malaysia. They actually do quite a fair bit of racing together, do Buchanstov and Winslow. And you could just see in the background there, you saw Alex Buchanstov still sat on pit lane. And this is going to allow the rest of the field to go by, and he's going to be at a real deficit here. There he's now finally released back onto the track. Here is the 63, and he'll lose the race lead by the looks of it to Harry Hannum, but it will be very, very close here between the two of them. Can Buchanstov get back up to speed here and put the heat back in the tyres and stay with Harry Hannum here around the Dubai Autodrome here for our final race of the weekend in the Gulf Radical Cup? I think the pit window will close in about 45 seconds time, and it looks like everybody's got through cleanly so far, but let's wait and see what the stewards decide. Have the marshals spotted anything that we may have not seen? We'll have to wait and see. So far, 2 penalties dished out, one to the man that we see second in shot here behind Sivan Youssef. Perry Deramas in the 69 receives a 10-second penalty for contact earlier on. Andy Lowe also receives a penalty for forcing a driver out wide. That was Novichkov he forced out wide as well in the early stages of this race. Now, that is the battle further behind there for third, but this is the battle for, on track at least, the top step of the podium, and Perry Deramas does exactly what he did to Andy Lowe through the same corner on the previous lap and says, thank you very much, I will take that position. But Shimon is not going to be too happy about that. He's going to get that position back, no doubt. But I do wonder if the team may have communicated to him on track that so-and-so have got penalties. You don't need to fight them on track. Just stay with them. Stay within 10 seconds to ensure that you'll be on the top step of the podium. Because while Perry is in that position, in number 1 in National, it will go the way of Sivan Youssef, who has that 10-second advantage, essentially. There are your top 3 in class. Harry Hannum from Vasily Vatikin, from Alex Buchanstov, Perry Deramas from Sivan Youssef, and Andy Lowe are your top 3 in class. Yahid Kardon being warned about track limits at the moment, but the thing is, Vasily Vatikin all the way down in 7th position at the moment is the Cypriot. Technically speaking, he shouldn't be on the podium for overall, but wait and see what happens here, because this will be the first time we actually have national class drivers in an overall podium finishing position. So wait and see when it comes to the end of the race in 16 minutes time here, and I don't think the battles are done just yet. You can see Perry trying to just extend that lead, because no doubt he's been informed by the team what exactly has happened, that he knows that he's got this penalty, and now he will just push to the end of the race and try and extend that gap from what is currently 9/10 of a second, going to try and push it an additional 9.1 seconds to ensure that he will be on the top step of the podium when it comes the end of the race here at Dubai Autodrome. So through and onto the back straight he goes one more time, ahead of Sivan Youssef. And Andy Lowe trying to keep Amir Faison at bay here around the track as well. Amir's going to try and take that 3rd position away. At the moment, it does mean that Amir is actually on the podium, the 2nd step of the podium. If he's close enough, he may even be on the 2nd step of the podium here come at the end of the race. And lurking in the background there is the number 96 of Vasily Vladikin, who unfortunately had to start from pit lane. It should have taken up 2nd position when we started this race, 30 minutes ago, but now back in to the mix here, back into the fray, and really clawed back all those positions that he should not have lost in the first place at the opening stages of this race. So Amir Faison from Andy Lowe. The battle here was at the line last time round, 0.8 of a second. It's come right down to about about a car length or two now as he kind of stretches out on the run down to the bowl through turn 14, but Amir will close the gap up as well. This is exactly what he did to Perry not too long ago, and he's going to try and look on the inside of Andy Lowe, but Andy kind of shuts the door at him there ever so slightly and says, you're not coming through just yet. You're going to have to wait a little bit longer if you want third position away from me in class. But Amir's going to try and go down the inside through turn 16, and he makes the move. Andy sees him in his rearview mirror, and he backs off ever so slightly, can't shut the door at him quite there, and doesn't want to collect another podium, nor does he want to take any of his competitors out at all. So across the line, Faisalin now goes third overall on track in the national class, but with the penalties that need to be applied, it most likely will be second unless Perry can extend that gap to 10 seconds to his closest rival. But it looks like Andy Lowe's not giving up just yet. He wants to take that position back as Vladikin warned now about track limits. He doesn't say what corner, it just says 96 warning flag track limits, and that will be displayed on the starting gantry. So next time he goes through, he will see that sign and go, right, I need to keep all four tyres off the white lines and on the racetrack instead of running wide and deep into the corners. And so you see him just there in the background watching what's happening in front of him here. He's not in contention for class honours in that category of that battle that's happening in front of him, so he wants to get through and try and chase down Simon Yousaf, Perry Daramas and Harry Hannum. Now in this big shuffle, Alex Bukunstov was running second, now down in 7th position at the moment behind Vasily Vatikin here, and at a slight disadvantage after talking to James Winslow and the team. They of course have a slightly older spec car here with it, and you can see the variation on the tail fin at the back of the car. You can see it on both Simon Yousaf and Alex Bukunstov style. They have different aero on the back air cowl, and then you can see a great shot over there where Amir Faisalin's got that fin coming from the air intake on the back of his car on the engine cover, but Sibin and the 63 of Alex Bukunstov do not have that fin there. And of course, with those two being older spec vehicles, as Amir Faisalin's going to look on the inside of Simon Yousaf, and this could be for the lead of national class as Sibin just runs a little bit too wide there and loses 2 positions, loses out to Andy Lowe as well. So Andy will say thank you very much, much appreciated. I will take 3rd in class away from you. So yeah, going back to Alex Bukunstov, different throttle bodies on that car, so can't get as much speed from it as say the cars around him, and that really gives him a disadvantage here and slows that car right down. And in very unfamiliar territory is Alex Bukunstov, all the way down in 7th position. Now, how much further back is he from Vasily Vatikin? Well, he's come across the line now, and he's 15.6 seconds adrift is Alex Bukunstov. Down in 7th position behind Vasily Vatikin, and Vatikin looking on the inside of Simon Yousaf here. So another position on track lost for the number 13, the Indian driver, on his return to the championship. We'll just see it there pop into view. You see the 96 back out in front now of the 13, and Simon unfortunately losing positions and losing valuable time to those in front of him. He needs to stay 10 seconds within the 69 and 5 seconds of Andy Lowe to ensure that he's still on the podium. Now Perry has extended his lead by 5.8 seconds on Amir Faisalin, so a great drive here so far from Perry, and really capitalising on that clear air around him. Nothing to worry about anymore because Amir, Andy and Sibin all battling further down the field, allowing Perry to escape up the road. Currently sat in 2nd position, and I do wonder, does this mean he'll walk away with 2 trophies, not just 1? Because he's currently 2nd behind Harry Hannum as well. 15.1 seconds adrift is Perry at the moment, and currently leading the national class on track. Still needs 5 seconds on Amir Faisalin, but at this rate he's certainly going to get those additional 5 seconds, although now Amir has also been released from the clutches of both Sibin and Andy Lowe, so that means it's time for him to crack on, get moving and try and catch Perry now if he can. Hannum leads here at the Autodrome for the 3rd race of the weekend, and it looks like it'll be a clean sweep from the young British driver. 15.1 seconds ahead of Perry Daramas, but what about that gap between Daramas and Faisalin, it has now gone up to how much? 6.4 seconds. So Daramas needs to find 3.6 seconds more on Amir Faisalin to ensure that he is once again on the top step of the podium in the national class as well. Technically speaking, the battle on track between the 69 and 15, yes, it's quite wide, but that's not just overall top honours in class, in the national class, it's actually also for the second step of the podium, technically speaking, in the national class as well here in the Golf Radical Cup endurance race, the last race of the weekend as well. 2 races yesterday, 25 minutes apiece, where Harry Hannam won both races, and now it is the endurance race with less than 10 minutes on the clock. Harry Hannam looking to make this the perfect race weekend here, and a great haul of points as well for the young British driver in his hunt for a championship title, on the back of his title last season in Clio Cup Middle East for 24 and 25. Now looking for the 25-26 championship title in Golf Radical Cup. So just under 9 minutes remaining on the clock. We're looking at Vasily Vatican, the man that should have started in second position, but unfortunately there's just something wasn't right with the car, possibly a misfire on the engine. That's why the engine covering came off. We didn't have a chance to chat with the team because we really wanted to leave them just to get things nailed down, because when we were on the grid it was 1 minute to go when we were being cleared off. The last thing we want to do is interrupt the team and take away that all-important starting position. The team at Continental Racing did a fantastic job to find out whatever the issue was, to put it back together, sort it out, and get Vasily back out on track. And a great recovery drive as well from Vasily, now up into the top 5 here at the Dubai Autodrome. There is your race leader, Harry Hannam, 17 laps in the books. How far ahead is he on this lap here? He was 15.1 seconds up the road. This time round, he's still at 15.1 ahead of Perry Deramas in that number 69. Amir Faisalin is 7.1 seconds adrift in the number 15. So actually still in that top position for the top step of the podium in class for the national class, and technically second overall in the overall standings. But he's going to continue to push on and try and put more of a gap between himself and that number 15. Bukhanstov being warned about track limits here to the Dubai Autodrome. Currently sat in 7th position. Is he getting closer to Sivan Youssef? Let's have a look at what that gap is. Well, it's 10.4 seconds. And again, very unusual to say Alex Bukhanstov 7th in a Golf Radical Cup race here. He was the only other driver so far to lead the race during the pit stop cycle. Sat 3rd for the first half of the race. Now sits all the way down in 7th ahead of Alexander Klebanov and behind Sivan Youssef here in the 13. Here we're looking at Johnny Kazuma and Alan Alfonsi, 11th and 12th respectively, 33 and 5. And now we're with the 13 as Saladin being warned about track limits in the 87 car, down in the 14th position at the moment. 13th position in the 87. There is the race leader in the national class for the time being, but just needs to add 10 seconds between himself and the car that's behind him, Amir Faisalin. It was 7.1 seconds on the previous lap. Will he be able to extend that gap there between the two of them? We'll have to wait and see when they come across the line this time round. Of course, Perry would not want to have this victory lost to a penalty as Harry Hannam puts the 44 a lap down. Sergey, new to the championship here this weekend, raced in Europe in the Mazda MX-5s. Great to have him in the championship here as well. Very quick in the first qualifying sessions, and he's really kept on pace as well throughout the 25-minute sprint races that we had yesterday, as Yahya Khalid moves past teammate in the 32. Up now in the 9 is in 9th position, is Yahya Khalid. Alexander Chichava now down in 10th place. So Perry Deramas would really hope that the traffic will play into his hands here and slow down Harry Hannam, but also slow down Amir Faisalin when he gets to the traffic as well. But of course, he doesn't want to catch the traffic through the corners. And let's have a look now where the Amir Faisalin number 15 is? Well, it's 7.8 seconds by the looks of it on our timing screen. So still 2.2 seconds to find for Perry in the next 5 minutes or so to ensure victory come the end of the race in the national class. Still standing second overall behind Harry Hannam, and Amir Faisalin sat in third in class. Now in the nationals, it is Perry Deramas from Amir Faisalin from Andy Lowe, but there are 2 penalties to be applied. There is a 10-second to Deramas, and there is a 5-second to be applied to Andy Lowe. Now the good news is for Lowe that the car behind Nivasi Vanakin is not in the class. It's 1.5 seconds to him, and there's a further 8.7 seconds, bringing that total up to almost to 10 seconds between himself and his closest rival. That gap with the penalty applied will drop down to 5 seconds between the two of them. That will be if the race is to end now, but we still have 4.5 minutes left on the clock. Bukanshinov there, as you said before, in very unfamiliar territory, just maybe having that car here this weekend at a bit of a disadvantage with different throttle bodies, not having that top end speed that they really want to have and kind of extract from the car. As there is the former champion in the series, Alex Bukanshinov, who won't be with us at the next race at the Super Prix. We'll be racing in Malaysia. Now, this is Johnny Kazoum again on the back bumper of Alan Alfonsi, and it looks like Alexis there in the 87 latching on to the back of them as well. Wants to get in a good fight here before the end of the race and the end of the weekend as well. Will the number 87 driver, as Hannam across the line once again. 14.9 seconds. That gap was actually coming down between himself and Perry, and it's 8.5 seconds between Perry and Amir. Just 1.5 seconds extra in the next 3.5 minutes for Perry to find and put between himself and Amir. In our final race of the weekend, our 45-minute Enduro with the 1 mandatory pit stop, and it's winding now into the final stages of this race. Perry just needs to find a bit more extra time to put a decent-sized gap between himself and Amir Faisalin, his closest rival in the national class. Harry Hannam working his way down the back straight. Now this is Alexander Chachava and Yahid Karim battling for position on track. That's 8th and 9th respectively. Well, actually that's gone the other way. No, it hasn't, because that's 9th and 10th. I'm getting my Alexes mixed up again because we have 4 of them. We've got Alex Bukanshinov, we've got Alexander Klebanov, we have Alexander Chachava, and we have Alexander Novichkov on track with us. Unfortunately though, Novichkov is in the pit lane, and he was in there quite early as well. Very unfortunate for him as well to be out of this race so early. So rapid is Alexander Novichkov, but just all not right with that car during qualifying. Just didn't get that lap time in that he needed at all, and started on the 4th row of the grid. Again, unfamiliar territory for him this season as well, starting alongside former champion in the series, Alex Bukanshinov. But Johnny Kazoum now looking on the inside of Alan Alfonsi as they work their way through sector 2 here on lap number 20, and just lurking behind them is the 87, waiting for something to happen here, just biding his time and hoping something just might happen to move slightly up the order as well. Just over 2 minutes remaining on the clock for this man right here to make it a perfect race weekend here. Can he make it 3 for 3 here? 2 race victories yesterday, and of course this podium finishing position and that top step of the podium will make it the absolute perfect race weekend here. 15.3 seconds ahead of his closest rival of the 69 of Perry Deramas. But let's see how far back Amir Faisalin is. It's now up to 9 seconds to the good between those two. So 1 more second Perry has to find, and then that will ensure victory in the national class. Otherwise, it will go the way of Amir Faisalin here to the Autodrome in round 2 of the championship for the Golf Radical Cup. That means 2 rounds down, 5 rounds left. We're racing once again here in the middle of the month, next month in December at the Autodrome, where we'll have our Super Prix. And Harry Hannam will go into that weekend with a healthy championship leading as well against his closest rival of Alex Bukanshinov, who's just having a weekend here to forget, although he is starting to catch now Siban Youssef in that 13. The gap between those two has come down to, what, 7/10 of a second separating the two of them there, so that will be additional points gained for him. Less than 60 seconds now remains on the clock for Harry Hannam. It will be 1 more lap this time round, so we're on the penultimate lap here at the Autodrome for our final race of the weekend for the Golf Radical Cup. As I said before, for this man right here, a perfect race weekend is about to conclude here. Through turn 14 goes Harry Hannum. Has had to barely look in his rearview mirror, or mirrors, excuse me, this entire race, as he did yesterday as well. No pressure anywhere he looked, really. It's very comfortable wins here, with 3 seconds apart from his closest rival. But this time round, he's 15.3 seconds up the road from his closest rival. So across the line now will come the number 19 Golf Radical Cup car for Golf Sport Racing in the number 19, and it should be the last lap now of the race. Just 16 corners to navigate here for Harry Hannum, and a great race, I must say, from Perry Deramas, being tapped into a spin at turn 1 on lap 1, to being all the way at the tail end of the field, to be not only in second overall, but the lead in class as well, and he's almost got a 10-second advantage over his closest rival. It's showing as 9.8 seconds to the good over this man right here. So provisionally, Amir Faisalin is the leader in the national class once that 10-second penalty has been applied. But when it comes to the end of the race and there is 10 seconds between Perry and Amir, that means that Perry will stay on the top step of the podium in the national class, and that means 2 trophies and 2 winners' trophies to walk away with. Bukhanstov found a way through Sibin Isaf, and unfortunately for the Indian driver, he's lost out to Alexander Klebanov as well, and he's tumbling down further as Yahid Kardim comes through in 8th, Chachava 9th, and what has happened now to Sibin Isaf? He's dropped down now to 10th position at the moment, but are there more cars coming through? No, on the final lap of the race, it is the number 13 that comes in, so not all is right with that car, and that's very, very unfortunate. But it's good news for Alan Alfonsi, because that means now he's in the final point scoring position of this race, and also now for Johnny Kazum as well, locked in battle. What was outside of the point but now turns into the battle for the last point scoring position is Harry Hannum through turn 14 for the final time here this weekend, and he'll be absolutely delighted to walk away with 3 victories here this weekend. Maximum point score for him here. Harry Hannum, 1 final corner through turn 16 at the Autodrome in our endurance race. Checker flag at the ready, and another fantastic victory for the young Harry Hannum for Golf Sport Racing. 3 for 3 here for the number 19. Next up across the line will be the Perry Deramas number 69, not coming to shot just yet. The 44 though across the line takes the checkered flag. But for Perry Deramas, is he 10 seconds up the road from his closest rival of Amir Faisalin? Let's wait and see. It was 9.8 at the line last time round. This time round, it is 11.1 seconds to the good. So Perry Deramas will be back on the top step of the podium, despite having a 10-second penalty. Job well done for him. And we have to confirm if he'll be on the second step of the podium as well in the overall category, because that would mean Amir Faisalin will also be on 2 podiums, because he's 3rd overall and 2nd in class. Andy Lowe will be on the 3rd step of the podium, and he'll be delighted with that as well. His first trip to the podium here this weekend. Vasily Vanikin across the line in 5th in the 96th. Bukhanstov at the line 6th. Klebanov 7th. Yahid Kardim in 8th. That is a great result for him as well. And I've just got confirmation that the national class will not be on the podium. Yes, they will actually, because it says 19, 69 and 15. I should really check my eyes a bit better here, because that's exactly what Fred Jacobs has said to me here. So Kardim across the line in 7th, Chachava in 9th, and the final point scoring position, which way does it go? Does it go Alan Alfonsi, or does it go Johnny Kazum? At the line, Johnny Kazum takes the final point scoring position as well to end the day on a high. Fantastic job there from Johnny, from a bit of contact earlier on this race. But for Harry Hannum, another job well done. Maximum points here this weekend. Hasn't put a single foot wrong. A magnificent drive here throughout the 2 days we've had of racing. Well done, Harry Hannum. Also, a big shout out to Perry Deramas as well, from being spun out in the first corner on the opening stages of this race to finishing on the top step of the podium in class. What a drive from Perry. and also he will be on the second step of the podium in class as well. Then Amir Faislin will join him on the overall podium, and he'll join him on the second step of the podium in the Nationals. And then, of course, Andy Lowe will visit the podium with us as well, and he'll be on the third step of the podium. What a race, and what a fantastic way to end the weekend here for the Golf Radical Cup. It's been a very exciting race, especially there at the beginning. We had a great fight for second and third in the national class. We had a great scrap as well for the top step of the podium. Heartbreaking for Novichkov, going out in the early stage of the race, having completed only 4 laps. For Simon Yousaf as well, heartbreaking there to come in on the penultimate lap of the race after vying for position in class and having the lead in the national class as well, qualifying very strongly, 4th in qualifying on the second row of the grid, but unfortunately at the end there it was not to be. So that brings an end to racing here for the Golf Radical Cup. Again, an exciting race weekend comes to an end here with Harry Hannam walking away with maximum points, and there he is pulling into position. The team go over from Golf Sport Racing to congratulate the young driver, and Perry Deramas will be pushed into the second position here, and this for the first time this weekend. We will see not 1 but 2 of our national class drivers slotting into positions 2 and 3 here. I didn't think we'd see it this weekend, but that's the joys of an endurance race. Anything can happen, and it really throws a spanner in the works as well, because the strategy comes into play when it comes to the pit stops. You have to time it just right when you come in, when you go, depending on, do you want to do it straight away, do you want to do it towards the end? And there is Harry Hannam off to Perry Deramas, having a saying, you know, good race, good job there. But I've got to say, a magnificent job there from Perry to finish in first in the national class. Here are the overall standings. So Harry Hannam from Golf Sport Racing wins it here by 16.3 seconds. Perry finishes second overall, and of course takes the victory in class here in the 69 after a fantastic recovery drive. Amir Faislin third overall and second in class, with Andy Lowe rounding out the top 3 in the national class in 4th overall. Then Vasily Vatikin and Alex Bukunchtov there in 6th position. Alexander Klebanov 7th with Yahid Kardim in 8th. Alexander Tashava 9th at the line. And Johnny Kazum on the very last lap of the race takes that final point scoring position away from Alan Alfonsi, who finishes 11th. Alexis in 12th with Simon Yousaf, unfortunately finishing 13th, 1 lap behind the race leaders. Then Sergei in 14th with Alexander Novichkov, unfortunately at the very early stages of the race, not coming back out of the pit lane. Very, very unfortunate. 2 penalties that we saw dished out. A 10-second that goes the way of Perry Deramas, but enough time between him and his closest rival to stay on the top step of the podium. And it was Andy Lowe who picked up the other penalty for pushing a car out wide, and that was a 5-second penalty. But for him, his closest rival was not close enough, because, of course, Vasily Vatikin and Alex Bukunchtov was between him and Alexander Klebanov, denying Klebanov his first trip to the podium here in the Golf Radical Cup. Now, before we have the podium presentation for the Golf Radical Cup, we're, of course, going to check out some highlights from our endurance race here. There's a lot of action taking place, especially in the opening stages of the race. A lot of contact being made through a couple of the corners with Amir Faislin and Perry Deramas. There was a little bit of contact there on the rear bumper as well between the two of them, just showing their displeasure to one another. But let's hope the stewards take kindly to that and think, you know, it's just a racing instance. It wasn't intentional. It was just maybe a bit too close there in the braking zone. So that brings an end to racing here in the Golf Radical Cup. Unfortunately, we had to say goodbye. No more races today from them. But as always, they put on a fantastic display and very exciting, especially when it comes to the endurance racing, when it comes to 45 minutes. Usually it's a sprint race that you think all the action will happen, but it's really the endurance races where everyone kind of throws their all out there just to be the best they can be at the end of the 45 minutes. As we said, we will see some highlights in a few moments' time of exactly what happened and relive some of the moments here in this 45-minute Enduro, and then we'll move on to the podium presentation, and then we'll say goodbye to Golf Radical Cup for the weekend. But we'll see them again soon. So the midway point, 14th of December, actually the racing on the 13th of December for the next one for the Super Prix. So let's check out some highlights now for Golf Radical Cup Endurance Race, the final race of the weekend. So, ladies and gentlemen, after a thrilling final race here in the Golf Radical Cup, our third and final race of the daily endurance race, we will now have the podium presentation for both classes. But first, we will start with the national class. We will bring them out in reverse order. Ladies and gentlemen, in welcome, Andy Lowe. Finally on the podium throughout the weekend, waiting so long for this to happen. It was a fantastic race. Andy, please take your position on the third step of the podium. Next up then in second in class, please welcome Amir Faisulin. And then it was a fantastic battle, and to be spun out on the first corner and drive like this all the way to the top step of the podium, the national class. Ladies and gentlemen, Perry Deramas. Now that's how you drive here in the Golf Radical Cup. Did not expect that at all. A well-deserved victory for him as well. So, to help us present some trophies here, we're going to invite some marshals here. From the team, we first invite Elena to help us present the third place trophy in class, in the national class. That will go the way of Andy Lowe. Next up then, we invite Fadia to help us present the second place trophy in class 2, Amir Faisulin. And then last but certainly not least, we'll invite Randy to help us present the winner's trophy to Perry Deramas. And I think if there's an award at the end of the season for drive of the season, that certainly has to be up there. That was an incredible drive there from Perry. Did not expect it at all there. A well-deserved victory. And gentlemen, if you could just look down as well when the photos are being taken, make sure you're looking down at the photographers as well. And then we can move on to our next podium here, which will be the overall category. Now, two of the drivers that we have on the podium here don't have to go too far, because now then we will move on to the overall category. Ladies and gentlemen, in third position, please welcome back Amir Faisulin. And there is confirmation that National can contest in the overall category. Next up in second position, welcome back Perry Deramas. And he's going to bring his trophy with him as well, so he's going to hold 2 when he gets up there. And then last but not least, a perfect race weekend here for Harry Hannum. What a magnificent race weekend for the young British driver here. Who will be able to stop him come the next race in a few weeks' time? Let's bring out the marshals one more time. Elena, if you could help us present the third place trophy overall to Amir Faisulin. And then we'll invite Fadia to help us present the second place trophy to Perry Deramas. And then last but not least, we'll invite Randy to help us present the winner's trophy to Harry Hannum. A phenomenal race weekend and a great way to end the day as well. Fantastic opening half of the race there. Gentlemen, remember, look down there at the photographers when we are taking the pictures here, so you can share those on your socials later on today. But we'll be back here for Golf Radical Cup racing in a few weeks' time, right here at the Dubai Autodrome for the Super Prix. We'll see you then. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful day ahead.